Good evening, folks. Stardeman here for the very first episode of Blue Beat Radio. Thank you for joining in. Tonight we're going to be exploring the basic Whys of BlazBlue, as well as providing introduction to this series, as well as what we're kind of be doing here, what we want to accomplish, and who should be watching this show, and what can you plan to get out of it. So, just some administrativa before we begin. Our basic structure will go like this. We're going to begin with our introductions. If available, we'll have some bit of BlazBlue news and some upcoming events. We'll get into our topics, and we'll close the show and maybe have some Q&A if we have time. So, with that, I am now going to introduce our guests. Dacidbro, if you would, please.
How you doing, Star?
I'm all right.
I play fighting games. I've played a lot of BlazBlue in my time.
If you just, for those of you who may not know you, can you just kind of introduce yourself, who you are, state, character, whatnot?
Yeah, sure. In BlazBlue, I mained Bang all the way from the game's launch, all the way through CT, CS1, CS2, CSE. I've traveled internationally with the character. I've put a lot of love into the game, and I feel like I've gotten a lot back from it. So BlazBlue definitely has a special place in my heart.
Dreiko?
Hello everyone, I am Dreiko. I am also a Bang player. I have been playing Bang since CT as well. In Persona I would use Aegis. In Guilty Gear I'm Order Soul, and I picked up Slayer recently. I would say that before BlazBlue I was just a scrub. I was playing anime fighters like DBZ games and stuff like that. But with BlazBlue I got serious in the fighting games, and here I am now. Thank you for listening.
Unfortunately, we are currently minus, but minus I believe is from New York. He plays Lychee, and myself, my name is Stardeman. I play Lychee. I am a player and trying to shift to being a content provider, but I am working on it. I've only been playing fighting games for about 2 or 3 years. I started with BlazBlue, and I play pretty much whatever you put in front of me. I don't like everything, but I love BlazBlue the most, and that's pretty much all I have for myself. I also live in New York, so there you go. I'm East Coast. So with that, after our introductions, after our introductions, we're just gonna go into what this is about. So I want this show to be about 3 things. The first thing is a place where BlazBlue can be discussed positively. The second is provide a bridge for less skilled players to improve. And the third is to have a place be both for both less and more skilled players to be able to discuss BlazBlue properly and openly.
That's good.
Yeah, so the reason I have these 3 things is because I've been around for 3 years, and just because I've been in fighting games for 3 years doesn't mean I've been in gaming for 3 years as well. I've managed some communities. I come from FPS, so that might tell you a few things about me. And
me too.
So
I come from JRPG.
Yeah, I love JRPGs too. Not as much recently, if you've watched my stream, but
Yeah. Well, recent ones haven't been as good as the older ones.
Yeah, that's true. But I've kind of been looking around, paying attention to what's going on, and I think these 3 things would be really good because in my own community I want more people to play, and when I ask them and when I try to probe them and discuss this with them, there's kind of things in the way, or there's things they don't feel good about, and I want to try to fix that. But I also want to help the community as it stands, existing players, by providing some other things.
Sounds very good.
Yeah. So that's
my good premise to me.
Yeah, that's my explanation about why the show exists and what I want to accomplish with it. So tonight, what I want to do is I want to educate and re-equip all of us, ourselves, our listeners, with what they need in order to rep our game and get people playing. And to do that, our main topic is why. Why BlazBlue? So I think the good place to start here would be to begin discussing the strengths of the series. So, gentlemen, if you may indulge me about what do you think are the real strengths of BlazBlue?
Jacob, you want to go first on that, or should I?
I'll take this one, and you can start first in the second one.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Well, for me, BlazBlue has a confluence of story and gameplay aspects all woven into one. other fighting games are more focused on either the fighting mechanic or a long history. This one, you can start just liking the story, and it can grip you, and with just the story, you can want to become a better player in the competitive side as well. It did that for me, and I know others who have similar experiences. Now, if you're already into fighting games and are saying, well, why do I play this and not Street Fighter 5 or 6 or 7? Well, the air dasher stuff you will find elsewhere as well, but this game has a balance of hard stuff and simple stuff, so you can make the transition between a more slow-paced game towards the Guilty Gears through BlazBlue. And I think that's one of the best elements of the game for the existing fighting game player. That's it.
I think for me, I can definitely see where you're coming from on the story, because I feel like I've never been big on story in any regard in terms of fighting games. I pretty much just play the fighting games because I enjoy to play the fighting games. But even with that being said, when you play characters in ArcSys games, they feel like their character. Like, they're not just a fighting game character. They feel very unique. They feel like they carry their story.
I think with every update in BlazBlue, each character plays more like you would think they should be playing like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like beyond just that, the game is becoming quite well balanced. I feel like as a fighting game, it's very respectable. I feel like it doesn't quite get that respect in America yet, but it obviously does in Japan. It's a hugely played series over there. And I think people in America are picking up on it. So I feel like there's a lot of reasons to play the game, both from a fighting game perspective, from a story perspective, from anything that you could really put on it.
I think the issue with America is that the anime elements alienate people because they do not comprehend it enough. So we need to simply explain and make it less scary what it is to like the quote-unquote anime game, so that they will be able to see the good elements that are also in stuff like Marvel, for example.
Right.
And it's exactly the same thing as Marvel, but this one has cuter pictures and platinum, so it's like, you know, it's not anything of substance that makes it different, and it shouldn't be that much less popular.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys a lot. One of the things that you both mentioned that I think makes this game really, really good is that it pulls you in through strong characters, and they're both strong in story, and they're also both strong in gameplay. I've never played another game other than maybe something close to like Guilty Gear or something where the characters felt so individually strong that you just really want to play them, and you want to get good at them, and you want to kind of get into them. And I think that's one of the best things you can do is you find your motivation and drive to improve and play the game through a connection or some sort of bond with the character that you develop through the story or through playing or something like that. I think that's probably one of the best strengths of this game that feed into gameplay that I think is very well paced. It's slower than the Guilty Gear, yes, but slower does not necessarily mean worse. Slower is different than fast. So from a design standpoint, I think that the difference actually does matter, and the difference is not necessarily linearly good or bad.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you just said there, because I feel like a lot of people see Marvel and see Guilty Gear, and those games are so fast, and like everything is unreactable. And I think BlazBlue kind of takes a step back and says maybe there are people that want to play a little bit more reactionary on defense, where there are actually mix-ups that can be seen. Even if maybe the desired goal is to reach the less seeable mix-ups, there are mix-ups in BlazBlue that do require reaction time on defense. And I think that's kind of different than a lot of games. I really, really like that about BlazBlue.
I think beyond mix-ups, we also have hit confirms. And in BlazBlue especially, confirming the counter hit with the proper confirm rather than the one that is off of a normal hit is immeasurably important. And in previous games, they're so fast that you can't really pick the better confirm of the two. You just have to go with what is 100% sure. And in BlazBlue, it allows you to think, oh, I got a counter hit. I'm going to use 6C instead of 5A now. And I'm going to get 2K more in my combo because of that reaction. And that mental reaction it's enjoyable to do that.
Yeah, with the proper reactionary confirm, you can open up a combo into much more corner push, better knockdown, higher damage.
Exactly, and there's no confirmed reactions in faster games for the most part.
Often.
Yeah.
This may be just my own feeling, but when I think of matches kind of in terms of the options that are presented to you at any given time, I feel like BlazBlue has kind of more of an even spread at times. This may be my inexperience talking, but I kind of do see my own options much more evenly spread in BlazBlue than I do in other games. What do you guys think?
How do you mean that? How do you mean evenly spread?
Okay. For example, if I'm in sort of a defensive crunch, and this also may go back to speed, as you guys were saying, the defensive options are stronger, so it's more evenly spread. Where I'm able to pick an option that can be just as good as some others, and as the opponent is trying to whittle down my options and force me to do something wrong, I feel like I have more chances that among whatever I have than in other games. Usually,
so you're talking about like burst usage and meter usage for maybe like a counter assault when you're in guard stun.
I think between all of those, that I think they're much stronger than if I were given the same list in another game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you play Marvel, like you have advanced block and a kind of weak cross counter at best, and then you play a game like BlazBlue, you can burst out of a combo at least like maybe once a round or so. You can guard cancel out of block stun, and it's actually a good guard cancel. It uses more relevant meter, but it's an option that really works. And you have reversal supers. You have a whole
instant blocking. Instant blocking. We shouldn't forget instant blocking, instant barrier blocking. Those are very important.
Blocking. Yeah, there's a lot of options. A lot of them can also be reactionary and used in tandem with each other can be a very effective defense. Where in a lot of games you kind of just sit there on defense and maybe hope you guess right once, maybe make a good read once. But like in BlazBlue, there's like a real pressure system on offense and defense where there's a lot of adapting to offense and defense. I feel like a lot of games don't really have the same kind of system. I feel like it's awesome. I love that system.
I think BlazBlue has the balance between guessing and between reacting down perfectly. It's not too much one or too much the other. You have a perfect balance.
Okay. Well, I'd like to shift our question of why now to sort of our audience. Between newer players and existing players, I'll begin with new players first. So for newer players, and this could be someone who's kind of new to fighting games in general, but I think it would be easier to say someone who plays BlazBlue, but kind of wants to bridge the gap, but isn't sure. They don't really have a roadmap to what to do, and either they feel intimidated or they feel kind of lost among the kind of skill sets you need to develop to get good at any fighting game, let alone BlazBlue. So why new players should get sort of deeper into the game. Do you guys do you guys think BB is difficult to competitively participate in for these types of players?
Okay, Dacid, you go first on this one.
Sure. I feel like BlazBlue actually is a bit difficult to understand in some ways. I think it's a little bit hard to quantify some of the concepts of the game to someone who is just starting BlazBlue, and God forbid it's their first fighter, because there's actually a lot of things that are relatively difficult to figure out in BlazBlue, but if you have the right kind of mentor, if you have the right kind of information flow, it's not so bad anymore. Like, I think a great example of this is the grab system in BlazBlue, where in most fighting games, you're working with something that's either grab or counter hit, where you make the grab tech either whiff or pressed into a disadvantaged position, you get hit for it. But in BlazBlue there's the barrier system, so you can use backwards A, B, and C to tech a grab without exposing yourself to any kind of counter hit. And that's hard for a lot of people to deal with because you have to use the game's throw, reject, miss system to even use grabs. I talk to a lot of people in America and they think grabs are useless because they don't understand BlazBlue's special way of implementing them. So I think things like that can make the game difficult to approach, but if the right kind of information flow is available, it's not so bad.
So you think the TRMs are making the game kind of more difficult to learn as far as gaining the skill to be able to grab and to avoid being grabbed?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people misunderstood that part of the game and maybe got the wrong impression of the game for it. And I think there are other parts of the game as well that maybe are misunderstood or overlooked. I know a lot of people aren't using guard cancel very much. Maybe they don't understand how to burst correctly. Like, managing the resources in this game is like layers and layers because there's so many different things going on.
There's like nails, wolf meter, wind, electricity for Tiger, all those things.
Right, all the character-specific meters.
Yep.
Do you think we kind of lay out these sorts of things clearly within our own community, or do you think we can probably try to find a way to develop more documents or tutorials or videos to kind of explain to people how these things work so they can really key in on these skills and kind of gain them and master them?
I think it's supposed to be a gradual process. You're not supposed to like overload the new player with a mountain of information. You're supposed to explain each individual thing gradually, and eventually everything will be explained in time.
Okay, so
yeah, I'll answer the original question now. I think there's a big gap for the beginner towards becoming an intermediate player. But once you are at that level of the intermediate player and understand all those various systems, it's easier to become an expert player than it is compared to Street Fighter, where you have to master one-frame links and all those things. So if you're like a new player, it's going to seem very difficult to learn all those things. But once you do learn them, it's actually not going to be that hard compared to other fighting games like KOF and stuff. That's what I think.
So provided the right roadmap, we can probably make that a little bit more easier to progress, all right?
As long as we get people through the hurdles, the first few hurdles are the issue. Once those are gone, then it's smooth sailing. That's what I think.
Okay. My other 2 points were really to, how would we bridge the gap, but I think we've pretty much covered that. And the other one was how can we provide a roadmap to them in the podcast series. In this particular podcast series, if you guys were to say, Star, let's work on making a roadmap for players, what would I plan for in the next, say, 4 episodes, which is like over this is a bi-weekly show, I think. It gives me time to develop content. So if I were to develop a roadmap, so to speak, give me 5 episodes of things that I should probably try to very much keep in mind.
Episode 1, pick your favorite character. And stick to them.
Give them your top 5. I'll give them my top 5 afterwards.
Okay. 1, pick your favorite character and stick to them. Decide who you like using most of all. You never get tired of using them, and just decide on learning that one character. Step 2, realize that it's going to take you time. It's not going to be instantaneous. You won't start winning instantly. You're going to have to put a lot of time into this. It's how it's supposed to. 3, try to play players who are better than you and see what they're doing and try to apply it yourself. 4, look online for famous players who do what you wish you will be able to do one day and try to understand what you're doing. And 5, and most importantly, try to have fun. If you stop having fun, stop playing the game and do something different until you feel like playing the game again. That's it.
Okay, Dacidbro?
Okay, my top 5 would be, I think picking a character you enjoy is definitely a really good first episode. I feel like identifying why the character would be something you enjoy is going to be important, like whether you prefer rushdown or zoning, or maybe you really don't care what the character does as long as you enjoy their story. I mean, if you enjoy your character, I think time and time again it's proven that people will put more effort into that character. So I would find some way to enjoy it, whether it's the style of their play or the background they have. I think a good second episode would be fundamentals, like just what are the building blocks of how you play a fighting game. Could be a good episode. It's like a really, really deep, thick episode, but it's also really important for anyone trying to pick up these fighting games at a higher level. Maybe third could be like advanced techniques, like like definitely covering the lesser known topics like guard cancel and like how to use your burst correctly, or like how to do mix up right. Like things like that get overlooked, and I think that could be a good midway. Fourth, maybe adapting to players. That's one of the hardest things to learn in a fighting game, I think, and it's also one of the most important. And I think a fifth episode could be maybe like sort of the metagame stuff for me, like how to not be shaken by a strong opponent, or like how to stand your ground even when you're risking a lot of resources, a lot of life in a tournament match. Like how to stand your ground and like make a good read, and sort of assert yourself in a match that matters, and also to not get nervous. Like things like that are really important and often don't really get discussed. I think that's like a decent off the top of my head top 5.
Yeah, I agree with both your lists, and sometimes what I like about Draco's is time. We don't really have a good concept of time anymore. Mm-hmm. So I think if we were to make 5 episodes where that kind of appeal to both sets of audiences, I would kind of gravitate more towards Dacidbros, because it being able to pick your character and have fun with the game and discuss and be able to slow down and realize that it takes time, that would probably be the best first episode for anybody outside of fundamentals, because you can never have enough of that.
I think that's the problem. That's what gets people discouraged. They expect to kick ass instantaneously. They expect to be good. And they go against people who have been practicing for years and years. So it's not going to be possible for them to win. But they can still have a good time. They can still enjoy the learning experience. And as long as they have the expectation of going there and learning instead of winning, that's going to make their experience better and more fun, and it's going to make them want to play more.
Yeah, no question. You have a lot of big fish, small pond coming into the fighting game community, and getting just smashed when you get into the fighting game community can be disheartening, like especially if you were just always the cream of the crop, top of the list every time. Your whole life. That's not going to be the case when you join the fighting game community.
If you were like that guy among your friends, if you were that guy among your friends and you go to the arcade and you get owned relentlessly, it's like...
Yeah, that rings deep with me. I'm out here on Long Island, and it's rough finding anybody to play with me, because I have to go all the way on the other side of the island. So, to me, I just go to New York anyway. But yeah, Big Fish, Small Pond, Anime Club. I'm the only dude that plays. That's why I want to train people. But
yeah, right.
Back to the episodes. The first and second, I think, discussing both back to fundamentals and taking that first episode to kind of step back and just take a good look at your game and yourself. I don't think there's anything more valuable. The third and the fourth, I think, being about advanced concepts and adaptation. The advanced concepts being like we can discuss TRM, we can discuss those things that kind of end up being roadblocks, because they're kind of they're pretty difficult to understand, and being able to implement them during an actual match can be very difficult if you don't have good guidance and good practice and things like that. So I think that'd be great.
People just forget about them. People just forget they exist for the 5 seconds that they need to remember that they exist. And then they remember, oh, damn, I could have done that then, but I died.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what to think of metagame stuff, but it definitely can be a good bridge when someone finally wants to actually get out of the house and go, because if you have to go a long way like me, like travel 5-6 hours to the city, like you definitely are building yourself up. You're getting ready, or even if you're just kind of going 45 minutes to a local, where people are doing casuals against the group that you discovered, we can discuss, kind of how to navigate your way through the situations you're going to find yourself in.
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and like dealing with an opponent that is actively adapting to you for the first time, or like maybe you just don't play against strong players that much, then you play against somebody who's like out of state, or like really takes the game at a different level. That can be like a really hard experience for some people. So like just like being ready for that, like when you play against the top level people, like you might hit a wall where you just feel like you can't possibly beat them. And being able to overcome that, like get some kind of like ground beneath your feet in a big match like that is super important.
You need to learn to control your fear and not let the fear control you, because that's how they win.
Right.
I definitely agree. Fear is not as much fear, but pressure and getting out of your own head.
Respect. That's the word.
Respect. That is a good word for it.
You respect too much because you're like, I'm so below you. I'm not worthy of fighting you. That's in your head constantly, and that's why you lose. If you stop respecting stuff and start playing properly and being yourself, you'll do better.
Absolutely.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think we covered a lot of ground between those two things, but if there's a way I can kind of shift your current comments in this discussion over to what existing players should probably focus on now. I mean, we've discussed a lot of what new players can do to bridge the gap, but how about existing players that are kind of coming up through the ranks and they're kind of either going between fighting games or they're kind of BlazBlue, they go out and they come back. How can we kind of re-energize these players or remotivate them or kind of reorient them to improving themselves now that they either have, a couple skills here and there or they have a rounded skill set but they're kind of facing obstacles? Is there anything you guys kind of want to add to your current comments about that?
Well, something I always make sure that I do locally, we have a really communicative scene and a very tight-knit anime game scene in NorCal. Like right now, we're all going really hard on Persona. Before that, it was BlazBlue, and of course, we'll be back with CP. But the main thing that I always try to do as kind of like one of the leading forces in both like the community and as one of the stronger players of the scene, I always try to let people know that I'm going to be maybe a little bit more honest than most people in terms of like what their play is doing or what it can do, and that I don't mean anything negative about it. Just that like I'll tell someone like, you need to burst in a different way than you are right now. Maybe they're like getting scared of a combo that doesn't matter and using their resources ineffectively. And I tell them, if you used it in a different way, like if you used it in this other way, like, or at least consider it, maybe you'd be getting more mileage out of that. And like just kind of things like that. Like maybe you could use your meter here. Maybe you could do better mix-up here. Maybe you could apply a different move in your neutral game. Like I'm just constantly suggesting things, seeing what people say. I found a lot of people can't really come up with their own side of it. And one of the most exciting things is when people do start to come up with their own perspective on it. Like maybe I don't want to use that move in that way, Dacid. Maybe I want to use it like this. And it's like just that kind of like back and forth can really build up a scene fast. And also just a dedication to not getting frustrated and to continue to improve and learn.
I think I'm going to go off of what Dacid is saying here, and I'm going to say you need to examine your matches. You need to examine everything you do and to figure out exactly why you're losing or why you're winning. Why you win is more important than why you lose, and that's what you need to keep doing, to keep improving, because the other people are going to try to improve their stuff. So you need to keep improving both what makes you win and what's making you lose.
I think that's kind of difficult because for me, I mean, I came off of Calamity Trigger in 2011. I bought a PlayStation 3, I bought Extended, I bought a PVR, I started streaming, I started recording everything. And that's fortunate for me, but I just dropped $600. For people who kind of don't have recording technology or they don't get to be on stream, I would worry about them not being able to review their match. They'd have to kind of keep it all in their head, and they won't be able to kind of see where they went wrong, go back, stop, kind of digest what they're doing. So that's why I like what Dacidbro was saying with being collaborative. But I do also agree being able to see things and pick them apart is very important. So how do you think we can kind of overcome that?
Yeah, when you don't have a way to record it and review it, it's really hard. Sometimes when I know the person like respects me enough and is wanting to improve, sometimes I'll actually stop the match. Like I'll pause it for the people that are playing. This is like really rare, and only if I've said it like a few times already. But like just like there's no way to review it, right? So like if you keep getting into that moment and you can't see it from the match itself, maybe it needs like a different perspective. So like if the people really like, I know we're all cool and there's no ill will between us. Like sometimes I will like ask if I can pause the match or like stop the match so we can look at that key moment that keeps happening and keeps being addressed incorrectly. I think that kind of feedback can break people out of like near permanent bad habits. I mean, personally, I don't feel like I have any permanent bad habits anymore, but it took me 3.5 years to get there, you know? And if you don't have that kind of information resource, it takes so much longer. Like, I had to travel so far, I had to fight so many people, I had to go through so many, like, mental battles about it just to figure out, like, how to get over those.
Draco, what do you think? Do you think if we could think of casuals not as necessarily shut up and play, but maybe if we were to say, you know what, pause the match, hold on, let me show you. When you see this, this is where you should be thinking and what you should be doing. What do you think?
I think casuals have that capacity, of course, and it's also useful to have many different sources of information. So you have the guy playing, you have yourself, but you also have the people beside you who are looking. You should also ask them what they think, what you were doing right, what you were doing wrong, because you need to understand what other people think when you play fighting games, not just what you are thinking in your own head.
Okay. So I think I think the only other thing I would want to talk about when I want to kind of bring existing players into the mix here is we deal with stuff like frustration and failure, and of course you have to fail in order to actually kind of grow and develop and learn. But going back to what you guys think with the first episode is, since we were without Minus and we're at 9:30, so I think we can probably just cover at least probably the first part between kind of picking your character and developing a good mental attitude about that. So my question is, when you get yourself recollected, how should that process go when you sit yourself down and be like, okay, let's start again, let's refresh what we're doing and continue forward and start to improve from where I am right now?
It can be hard to know. Well, I think in terms of moving forward, I try never to completely blank slate myself. I don't know if this is going exactly where you want to with the question, but I try to never say, like, everything I've been doing, that's not working, I'll push it all aside. I try to take what I have and see how I can meld that into something that will work a little bit better. Like, maybe I just can't find a way to beat this character's neutral game, or I can't find a way to use my character correctly in that matchup. Maybe I'll take what I'm using already and just put a little bit of a spin on it. Maybe I'll use this move less. Maybe I'll try this move with a dash before I jump, or like something like that. Like, just a little bit of spin on the movement, just a little bit of finesse to it. Sometimes that can unlock way more than you would expect. Sometimes just a little bit of mobility added, or a little bit of a change of what you're doing, removing a little bit of a pattern, can completely unlock the matchup, because after they're unsure about that one thing you changed, everything else you're doing works better, and it can really snowball, like, at a much more rapid pace than one might expect.
I agree with that. I think it's wrong to just toss everything you were doing outside of the window and start being completely different. You were just not good enough at what you were doing, but what you were doing was the right thing, and you just need to do exactly the same thing with a twist that makes it a bit better. And I think that's going to have a much better result than just trying something completely new and untested and different.
Yeah. The exception, I would say, is, like, if you realize at any time you're using resources suboptimally, like maybe you're using a mix-up that gets you low damage, or maybe you're using a mix-up that is reactable, and in both of those cases you could be doing something better, then yeah, throw the old away and replace it with something that has no losses. Like, just
if it's like
upgrade.
Mathematically better, like if you waste 6 nails to do the mix-up that 3 nails allow, of course that's just mathematically better, so you're not supposed to be doing that. But
exactly.
if it's like already good stuff that loses by an inch, it's not worth just toss it away. It's still good stuff. You just need to tweak it a bit.
Right.
Okay, I just realized that an easier way to ask what I'm asking would be to say, kind of, what do you go through, or what do you do when you kind of hit a dead end or roadblock? And what you guys are pretty much saying is throwing it kind of all out the window and starting back isn't very useful. You kind of just need to take 1 or 2 steps back and take a look at what you're doing critically, and then try to implement small changes.
Right. And I would say the biggest problem is this is kind of a an ethereal question because a lot of times our roadblocks are directly involved with competing players. So a lot of the times there's no straight answer for this. Like a lot of times it's like figure out your opponent better. Yeah, it's like getting that adaptation refined so that you can find any opponent and say, I know how to use this tool set, tweak it to what I need right now. And like
specifically for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of that could be time with the game. I think a lot of that could be frame data. Like if you can really know your moves and how they operate and what like the static difference might be. This is getting into like some really, really nonsensically technical terms, but studying frame data and understanding it really concisely will help you in adapting different moves to different situations.
And hitboxes as well, not just frame data.
Absolutely, especially destroying hitboxes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hitboxes that have no vulnerable hit in them are extremely difficult to deal with. Any kind of sword, anything like that, can be really hard for especially new players to overcome.
Because it doesn't make intuitive sense. It's like, I'm hitting you, why is my fist going through your face? I'm hitting you. You know, that's the hurdle for the new player. It doesn't make sense.
Divorcing what you're seeing from what you understand is actually happening.
From the mechanics.
It's like, oh my god, she just low-profiled this, what the hell?
Yeah.
Okay, since I've kind of run through everything and the future episodes that I want to do, I kind of want to take time to do them. I think what I'll do now is, if you guys want to take some time to talk about your characters, Bang, what do you guys... Yeah, we're going to have 2 Bangs and 2 Lychees. But what do you guys really kind of like about Bang? Let's key into what you really like about your character, and then hopefully some people will identify and kind of get into their own thing. So feel free to show your passion.
I have a proposal, because we're both going to say the exactly same things. We should take a turn and say one thing a person.
I actually think we might be different. I'm going to let you take this one first.
Okay, then. I'll say everything. Okay. First of all, when I first looked at BlazBlue, the first thing I saw was Bang's Furin Kazan animation and the song and everything. It was this YouTube video. It was like 10 minutes long of just Bang sitting in the training mode, not doing anything, and listening to the music. So that's my introduction to BlazBlue. It holds a special significance in my heart, and after that I was already psyched. Then I went to play the game, and spoiler alert, Bang pulls a Kamina, and there's all those awesome anime things. There's the singer of the song sings the DBZ intros. It's all a confluence of epic, awesome things that I like, and he's also a ninja. Beyond that, I just like how he plays. He's very fast, he's very mobile, he has a lot of options. He can do a million different things in the fight. And each band plays completely different from the other one. It's not like Ragna, where 5B, 5C, 2D, rapid cancel, blah, blah, blah. You have so many different play styles that are potentially equally effective. And it's all about you, who you want to be, how you express your aggression or defensiveness or fancy approach with Furin Kazan and things like that. It's all those different things that make me enjoy Bang as a character and using him and all that.
Okay, Dacidbro?
Yeah, I'll actually definitely agree on 2 things you said. Furin Kazan has always been something I've really enjoyed about the character. My playstyle, since I learned how to do it, has always been revolving around Furin Kazan. I feel like that's something to be learned from Nezu in that regard. I think that playstyle is really scary. Oops. It's hard to control it if you get going. Like once you hit Furin Kazan, I don't feel like there's any player that feels really safe. I love that kind of playstyle where it's just such a snowball, and you just like you instill that kind of fear in people. That I love that in a character. I also really liked that Bang can be played in so many different ways. I love that. Like watching any top level Bang player, they all play different, and somehow it always seems to work pretty well. Like he's a solid character, and you can play him in a lot of different styles. I feel like that's really cool, and I feel like that's one of the hallmarks of ArcSys games, where the characters have like a really unique feel to them. That being said, I'm actually dropping Bang. I don't feel like the character fits me as a fighting game character anymore. I feel like the more that I have learned about myself in fighting games, the more I've realized there are other characters that are probably better suited for me. I think a character with stronger defensive choices is a better choice for me. And like I said before, I'm never so big on the story compared to actually playing a fighting game. That's maybe where I differ from some people. But I don't think that like puts me above or anything. It's just I've become very driven to results, and I know that a character without reversals, a character without like really strong defensive options, can be difficult to make consistent in a tournament set where you don't know enough about your opponent yet. I feel like the more you learn about your opponent, the better Bang is. But even then, he's still going to have a bad matchup with some characters in almost any version of the game, just due to the nature of his defensive choices. So I feel like I want a character that has a strong anti-air, a character that has a strong, like hopefully a DP, and is still rushed down. Someone like Ragna or Makoto. But I would probably wait to see which one is really good before I decided that.
Out of those, I would say Jin, probably.
Right now, Jin. Yeah, Jin would be a fantastic choice. Great pressure, solid offense, amazing defensive choices.
Instant overheads for 4.2k for 25 meter.
Right. Yeah, I think a character like that would be a much better choice since I do want to win at this point in fighting games.
I think what you described is kind of the nature of characters that don't have that kind of reversal. I happen to like those characters a lot, but more because I like not having a DP. What can I say? But more often than not, those characters are not the ones that I'm seeing all the time win. So and people tell me drop the character, pick this. I can think of 3 characters I've been told that drop the character, pick this. Mai is one of them, but that's kind of another series. But she doesn't have a DP. But so Dacid, you haven't kind of decided yet. But is there anyone that you think? It sounds like you kind of just. If I'm understanding you right, you want someone with better defensive options, so you want someone kind of more fundamental, more kind of has more of the standard tools you'd expect of a fighting game character?
Yeah, a character that's really well fleshed out, especially on defense. I really started to feel how controlling defensive options are when I was playing Akihiko in Persona 4 Arena, because he has some of the absolute best defensive options of any character in the game in some regards. And the amount of control that gave me on the match, especially if I used all my resources defensively, was massive. Like I could stop rush down if I wanted to. I had choices for anything, and it felt really freeing to me. And it kind of turned me off to the entire character of Bang, since when I get knocked down with Bang, I feel like it's the end of the world, and I don't really have any choices.
Unless you have Ashura. Unless you have Ashura or a lucky 6D or something.
Yeah, but it's like a 50-meter reversal that's like still unsafe and gets option selected by a lot of things.
A lot of characters definitely have the tools to avoid Ashura, like she's one of them.
Right. With any kind of disjointed hitbox, especially.
Yeah, they nerfed Ashura's damage and the recovery. It's -7 now, so like Bang will be hitting us or me.
So, but are you going to stick with Bang?
Me?
Yeah.
Of course. Yes. I'm especially because of the story. I like the character and the gameplay. I enjoy the gameplay. I use other characters too. I like my sub is Valkenheim, who is very good in this game, and in the next one he'll always be very good because he's Valkenheim. But yeah, my main will be Bang because I just like the Furin Kazan. I like the playstyle, all the stuff. It's more emotional than completely competitive. But I will still try to win.
As for myself, and I kind of have to backtrack a bit, but we've gone a long way. I started Lychee in May 2010 when I first saw the game, and before this, I was only playing like whatever games people would bring to anime clubs. So, I'm like, oh, check out this game. Wow, it's in full screen HD. This is hype. I sit down, I play it, and I see Lychee. I'm like, glasses, China, large oppai. Okay. So I play that, and I'm like, I don't understand this character. What's going on? What are these buttons? Figure it out, do better. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh, here's this other character. She has guns. And I play this character, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm winning, because I'm hitting the D button. But eventually I kind of got over that, and I got CT, and I started learning Lychee. And I've always liked Lychee because I think she's one of the most creative characters in the game. always have liked her style of play. She can flow back and forth between, rushing down or zoning out or spacing you. I love her character, and as long and hard a journey as it's been, I still enjoy her. I still think she's the best. I look forward to CP because just with the gain of 4B, it's so great, and they're kind of they're shifting a few other things around with her, and I love everything I see, and I can't wait to experience CS1 that I missed out on because I didn't have a console to be able to play Lychee as top tier. I am so hype.
Well, in CP, she will be top tier, so you're set.
Yeah, I can't wait. Someone will probably figure her out eventually, but I don't think it's entirely likely, but I definitely think she's incredibly much more stronger in this version because of what she has. They're going to have to definitely hurt her hard in order to make me feel bad.
I feel like they did a really good job balancing her in this version. I feel like in all of the past versions of her character, she was just like a very, very straightforward character where you just get that one knockdown, like push all the way to the corner, get the knockdown into distortion, and you just run the autopilot mix-up. Like I feel like it was a very straightforward character before, and I feel like they applied a lot more creativity to her in this new version. I'll agree with you there. I feel like the new Lychee sounds way cooler than the old one. I feel like her concept has always wanted to be a pressure character that maybe doesn't have the cheapest mix-up, but like before it was just like pressure into probably the most autopilot mix-up in BlazBlue. So I really like the changes.
She was like Relius without the bad mix-ups.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that Relius. I've heard the term that Relius is a bad Lychee, but I never knew what the thought of that because I've never seen anyone really run Relius at higher levels. So I never bothered to look either. So I don't really have a good understanding of what's out there right now.
A lot of the same mix-up.
Yeah.
A lot of the same pressure, but without any defensive tools.
Yep. No DP.
And it's on a meter.
Yep.
Do you think if they this is just hypothetical? Do you think if they gave the wife kind of more things like they gave Carl, more super armor, longer lasting on the screen, higher health, would that fix it, or do you think they need to kind of try something else with him?
Maybe.
I think he needs a proper DP. He needs, like, after the twirl, give him an extra special that has Ignis teleport and do something like that.
It's probably defensive. I don't know what it is exactly, but
his pressure is solid, but that's it.
Huh. Well, maybe we'll just have to wait and see,
Yep.
But let's see. I've kind of run through everything I wanted to do in the first episode. I'd open it up for Q&A, but I can't seem to load chat. So, was there anything you guys?
Use my chat. If you could maybe get my chat open, people are talking in my.
I can see the chat as well. Yeah.
Sure. Let me bring that up and see if I can moderate some stuff here.
There's not that much, but yeah.
Anything you guys wanna? Anything you guys wanna talk about now?
I don't have any personal suggestions. I mean, I feel like we covered a lot of topics.
I think we said a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think definitely the best thing we could do at this point is Q&A if anyone has it.
Okay, I'm loading your chat. I don't know if it's gonna load or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's okay. I'll keep stalling while it tries to load. Maybe refresh it if it doesn't load in like 30 seconds.
Okay, here's something to pass the time. What do you think of CP Hakumen?
Looks amazing. Looks like somehow one of the strongest forms he's had so far, which is saying a lot. I mean, his extend form was amazing. So I think somehow he might be better.
I think the overdrive system is designed around Hakumen, and everybody else just fell behind him, and we're like, okay, this is the system for Hakumen. How do we put it for other characters too?
I definitely think one of the hardest things to understand, like, the danger of is, like, he can do an overhead and then overdrive right after it, and it does, like, 8,000 to 9,000 unburstable. It's like...
Exactly. It's Hop-Tsubaki,
it's like your whole health bar if it's not following.
Activation and death.
Yeah. The overdrive system is really scary with Hakumen in a way that with a lot of characters it's not quite as scary with, because he has some crazy strong and safe mix-ups that confirm into you are dead, and at any point in the match, he can just break that out for the cost of a burst.
Or 6 Magatama.
Here,
Yeah,
I'll pick your brain
5.
about that. What should I be thinking as what do you think I should be thinking as I'm playing a Hakumen and he's like and my only thought is he's gonna try to hit me, confirm that stuff and then kill me. I can only really make 2 really wrong moves in this match. How am I gonna strip him of that burst?
Well,
And that'll be character specific, but what should I be thinking to avoid that kind of flowchart that he's gonna do?
I don't think you should focus on the burst. I think you should focus on the entire flow of the match, and you stay out of the range of that Tsubaki that starts the whole death thing. You should just avoid being in that place entirely. If you
Yeah,
think
but of course
you may
that's
do it, just defeat
impossible. I mean, like that's the reason the character looks so strong is because there's nothing that you can go into the match thinking that will remove the threat. At any point, if he's doing a 50-50 mix-up on you and he has the burst and you are stuck in a situation where he has enough meter to kill you through an overdrive confirm, there's nothing you could do about that. You're just there. You're on the ground. Like, you can't just say, don't get hit. I mean, that's like, it's kind of a classic fighting game example of like, what should I do about this match?
Don't get hit.
And it's like, it's
Don't
real.
get cursed. Don't get cursed.
Yeah, it's real, but
Don't
like,
get cursed.
at the same time, it doesn't remove the viability of the character.
How you think about it, that's the only advice you can really give because he's a very good character. Just think about avoiding it throughout the entire match, plan your entire battle to avoid that specific thing. That's my advice.
Play well, manage his resources, try to make him use his resources in ways that are defensive. Like, if you're outplaying him, he won't get a chance to do that.
Exactly. If he's dead, he's not gonna do mix-ups on you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Were you finished? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I am unfortunately unable to load either chat. Twitch. Shoutouts to Twitch. Man, I should have got
I could
Turbo.
field some questions. Like, I could just...
Oh, if you want to do questions, we have 9 minutes. But I was gonna say, what's your favorite thing about your new Overdrive?
The new song.
New song? I haven't had time to listen to it actually. I should check it out.
There's a song by Koyama, the voice actor for the Japanese band. He's the one who sings the new Furin Kazan song.
Good old pervy Koyama-san.
Yes, but the song is about justice.
Awesome. Do you think that you can really get a lot out of it? Because it doesn't last for forever now. So
Furin Kazan will have 2 specific uses. Very early in the match to obtain the 4 seals for the new distortion drive, or for a confirm later on when you have low life for like 5.5k Furin Kazan combo into the OD Daifunka for the kill. That's basically the 2 ways I see Furin Kazan used the most in current CP band as we know it right now.
do you think there'll be new tech discovered as we kind of go along, or?
It's very possible because Bang keeps having new things discovered about him. Like, for example, he can link Jump 4B to itself twice in the air. That's like the new advanced combo, which is insane, and it wouldn't be possible without the new floating special move, the scarf fly and fly move.
I gotta check that out.
It's like air dash, jumping 4B, float, jumping 4B, land, super crash. It's insane. It's very good. so yeah, I think more tech will be available in the near future.
Okay, Dacidbro, you have thoughts on that, and I'll just do mine, and then you could just read off questions for me.
Yeah, I actually don't have many thoughts on Overdrive. I haven't thought about it too much since I don't really have a character in mind right now. I love the fact that Bang can just at any time Furin Kazan, like, that's fucking great to me. But at the same time, they kind of killed one of the old ways to play the character. And like watching Nezu play Bang now is kind of like almost sad because like his whole style was do really fancy 4-seal combos and enter Furin Kazan forever. But now there's no function to doing that anymore. It doesn't do the same thing for him, and he can't play his like. They actually removed Nezu's playstyle from the game, which was kind of hard for me to see. But I feel like the character maybe makes a bit more sense for it. So I'm not too emotional over that. I just really like Nezu. So
yes.
Okay, so I actually do have a question in my chat. Would you like me to field it?
If I could just cover Lychee's real quick, and then we
Sure.
can get there. The thing I love about Lychee's is the stick comes back no matter where it is as soon as you pop it. So, I've already seen combos that I can't wait to try. I'm so happy. You get Itsu Aid, Overdrive, all green, pop back up. You can do whatever at that point. I've even seen some situations, I haven't even gotten to like frame by frame look at it, but Daishirine will be running and she'll do something that looks like DP, and I have to take a closer look. And like the state that the staff is in when she's in overdrive isn't as clear as it used to be. So now she's going to have these opportunities to get like really cool combos, really neat Daishirine mix-ups. I can't friggin' wait.
From what I've seen about Lychee, she does anything confirm into 6D, then overdrive, and that's a 4K combo from anything. Mid-screen.
That's fine with me.
Yes.
Okay, now we can do questions.
Sure. The first one was from Schwermuda. He asked, is it really feasible to play Keep Away in an anime game? I think absolutely. I think if you look at characters like Lambda and Mew and in some contexts like Hazama and Arachne, there's actually a lot of different styles of zoners in these games. And a lot of them are actually some of the stronger concepts of characters. A lot of times the zoners are very solid characters, especially when they're ones that have reversal choices and are zoners, like Hazama with the Jack, a Hotenjin reversal, and Mew with her meterless Dragon Punch. Like, a lot of times zoners are actually given some really solid choices in these games, I think.
I think zoners definitely have the option to be pure zoners, but why would you want to do that? That's limiting yourself needlessly. You can zone when zoning is relevant to the match, and you should be able to also play the aggressive game.
Yeah.
It's like, more options are better. So yes, of course, you can zone purely with Lambda, but you'll be way better if you also pressure, if you also mix up and zone. If you do everything, it's going to be better.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think his option was mostly if it's possible at all. But I'll agree with you. Like being able to fluidly switch, especially based on your opponent's characters.
Exactly.
Zoning works.
Yeah, I don't believe in that. Like my job is to just stay as far away from you as possible. Every person I've seen that's been good at that type of character, whether it be Lambda or New 13 even, or Batista or whatever, every character that's of that archetype, they transition between, keeping you away, and when you are opened up, they get in and they do combos, or they try to pressure you and open you up. They have all sorts of options on the table, but pretty much their main, like, I don't think there's really any pure keep away if you want to be able to use your character to your fullest.
Keep away is situational. That's the thing that keep away players should think in their heads. You could keep away when you can also pressure, but pressuring is better. So just go pressure. Don't bother keep away.
Yeah, test them a little bit at least.
Test the waters. Don't be afraid.
You are always playing a player in this regard.
Yep.
Any other questions?
We have another one. What do you think of the overall system changes between all three major versions? I'm imagining that's between CT, CS, and now CP.
Yeah.
I feel like it's become CT is the beta, in my opinion. CT
the alpha.
Yeah, the alpha maybe. Like CT is just so nonsensically broken in so many ways. When you have characters that can literally start the round, and against some characters just autopilot into 100% guard break into unburstable setups. It's just like, what on earth was the point of playing this game? Like, if you were playing the bottom tier characters, you could not win in that game. And if you're playing the mid tier characters, you'll still have a frustrating time. If you're playing the top tier characters, you still might get pissed. It's like, that game has so many problems. Like, it's hard for me to look at CT fondly. Let's put it that way.
I have memories of playing CT, but when I look at it now, I just facepalm. It's like, it's sad.
Yeah.
From Bang would whiff on Noel standing. It would just completely whiff on Noel standing. I pull my hair off when I think about that.
Poor CT Bang.
So, yeah, CT had a lot of problems. CS was a huge step in the right direction. They fixed the burst system. You could actually use bursts, which was...
CT burst just makes me cry.
You couldn't actually use CT bursts. It's like things like that. Like, all of those things were fixed in CS. I feel like the primer system makes way more sense than Guard Libra. Guard Libra was just this awful defensive mechanic.
Was for new, made specifically to make new a good character.
It permitted you not to use mix-up and just plow through people's defense using your cheap character, and like it works. Like the good example of a Guard Libra style working is KOF. Like KOF 13 has a great guard bar mechanic where your guard can be broken. But in CT, it was implemented so poorly, like it was unusable. Like the game was unplayable for it.
AOF guard is like the barrier gauge in CT, not like the Guard Libra in CT.
Yeah, CT really punished you for using your defensive mechanics, and that's one thing I really like about BlazBlue. I started in CS, I ended up getting CT just because I could have it. And I'm like, man, I really don't like being punished for using defensive options. You know, games like to be offensive in nature, but I still think the ability to deal with what your opponent's doing can be very important. That's why I like BlazBlue, but yeah, CS, such a great improvement, and with CP coming soon, I like what they did because I wasn't ever really sure what to think about primers, and now I think with CP being a faster game, being a more aggressive game, you kind of have to understand what your opponent is doing to you, why they're doing to it, why they're trying to do it to you, and you have to barrier at the right time, and you have to understand, well, what comes next, or what's going to come before and after this. I like that. It'll be an interesting adjustment, but I'm willing to take it on. I like it.
I like the primers, to be honest, but I think that's mainly because Bang can break primers easily, rather than the system being especially amazing. And now with crash triggers in CP, it's going to be a new dimension in the game. Everybody will have a force break, quote-unquote, for 25 meter. So just thematically, I like the change.
If I was going to sum it up, CT to CS made the game a solid game. CS to CP made the game marketable. Like I feel like CP is actually fun to watch, and that's the first for BlazBlue. Like I even being a player that like loves the game and loves to play it, I could barely watch BlazBlue before CP.
Okay.
But we actually have a lot more questions. Do you want me to go?
You know what? I don't see why not. I mean, we're here. We'll take a couple more questions, and we'll go to like. Okay. Is 10:15 okay for you guys?
Yeah,
sure.
It's fine.
Sure.
Okay.
I have one. Okay. What was our first fighting game?
Okay. Go ahead. You guys.
For me,
first.
it was Smash Brothers Brawl.
I see.
And then I got into BlazBlue CT from that, and then I went through BlazBlue and went through Persona. That was pretty seamless.
For me, it was Tekken 2 on the PS1. I was a huge Tekken fan. I was playing with my father all the time, so much. After that, it was like DBZ games, Naruto games, like Burst Limit, stuff like that. Eventually, we went to Soul Calibur, all the 3D things, and now with BlazBlue, I just got serious into the 2D anime-style fighting games.
For myself, the first game I ever played was way long ago. I remember playing Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and you know I played other stuff like Killer Instinct and stuff like that, and I liked Killer Instinct. I played Fulgur. I felt so cool. But I stopped for so long, I kind of fell completely out of the genre. But the game that kicked me off to start playing again was in early 2010. Someone brought in King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match, and I can remember it was the first time I had a lot of fun just sitting down and playing in a very long time. And you know, then then other games started getting brought in, Jackie Chan Fists of Fire, BlazBlue, all sorts of stuff. And like, but I can remember like the game that kicked me off was that one day sitting down and playing on 2002 UM, and then getting really attached to BlazBlue very quickly.
Okay, so I have 3 more questions. Do you think we could fit 3 more in?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. Why not?
Okay, so Zarashi asks, what do you think of the 3 new characters so far? That would be, I think, Bullet. There's actually more than that.
There's 4.
Amane, Izayoi, and Azrael?
Yes.
Yeah, so those 4 characters. I don't know much about them, honestly, so I'm just going to let you guys take that one.
Okay, well, for me, I like Azrael the best because, to put it simply, he's like Broly with blue hair. if you understand PvP. That's Azrael. He's crazy, he's strong, he has aura, he absorbs projectiles with his DP, which then gives him his own projectile. It's just a lot of cool stuff, and he plays like Slayer, like a BlazBlue version of Slayer, so all that stuff makes him amazing. Then we have Izayoi, who is like Murakumo prototype Tsubaki. She has Gundam-themed moves, she can fly, she has the Aegis dash, and Aegis is my main in Persona, so that's also very good. Bullet is like a female Ragna. She's like very basic, very simple, not as interesting, but I think her design is interesting. And lastly, we have Amane, who is weird, and he has drills, and he sounds badass, but like a girl. And all those different things with him. His playstyle is weird, but I think it's going to be effective. That's about it.
I think Azrael is going to be really fun for people who like that brutal style of play. I really think anyone that picks him, that wants to key in on him, they picked him for a reason, and they're going to love the hell out of it. Outside, barring some sort of out-of-the-blue nerf or down the line, I don't know how they're going to treat this version. But other than that, I think he's great. Bullet's going to be very fun and much more dangerous than we think she is. So I think Bullet's going to be very, very underestimated. Amane too, but people kind of have written off Amane kind of early. I think they'll probably have to develop tech for him, but it may not work out. So still a little too soon to tell, in my opinion. But he looks also very fun. Izayoi looks very fun, and there's definitely not enough people playing her and figuring her out. And I think going forward, the next 6 months, you're probably going to see some hardworking people come out with some neat stuff about her. Or at least I hope so, because I would like to at least try her. I'd love to at least try each of the characters. But Izayoi is the one I'm kind of keying in on. But I'm much more looking forward to the new Tsubaki. But we shall see. I'm definitely just maining Lychee. I have to focus, but I think all around, this is just all the characters are better. Except Aquaman.
I think I will.
Yeah, were there any other thoughts on that question?
Not really.
Not really.
Okay, so SKD asks, how do you feel about crush triggers and their implementation? I think that's actually a pretty cool question. We didn't really talk about crush triggers at all.
Yeah, a little bit.
To preempt that an answer to that question, I am going to have, like, maybe in a month or two, we're going to start switching into Chrono Phantasma mode, since I'm not sure if this. They kind of the Twitter for Arc System Works U has kind of said, if anyone's told you anything about summer, don't listen to them. So they may go for a summer release, or they may go for a Japanese summer release and an American winter. We don't know yet. But coming towards the summer, I want to start switching to more Chrono Phantasma specifics to discuss kind of where it is, where we're going, what's kind of going on, and catch people up that have been away since CT usually, because I know a lot of people coming back from the CT days. But I think I'll let you guys begin on Crush Trigger, and then I'll go last.
Sure. I feel like it's a nice change of pace in terms of the resources. Like, there's been all 50 meter choices until this point, except for Jin, who got to use EX moves when no one else did. I think it could be a nice kind of unique facet of meter usage in BlazBlue that hasn't been seen before, except for Jin, who just like inexplicably had the only EX moves in the game. And I like it personally. I really like the concept of being able to aggressively use your meter like that. I think almost all of them are in some manner an aggressive meter choice. And having more offensive meter choices for me has always felt fun, especially when I could like pick apart a specific player and say, like, if I use my crush trigger on this player, I'll be getting more out of my meter than if I use it in any other way. Like, just like more options like that are always really appealing to me.
I think crush triggers have the option of being both a better combo tool and an opener to make somebody who's blocking just completely falter and then you get in. But I think some are just a bit better than others at too many things, like Lychee's, for example. You cannot,
yes.
you cannot DP her crush trigger. Only something like Daifunka would be able to punish it. So So I think it needs a bit of tweaking, but I like the original concept.
But even that has problems. You can backdash it relatively easily, and they'll lose 25 meter, and you're out of pressure.
And if
So
Lychee whiffing is
flaws
also not
to be
very
explored.
good.
Hmm?
Oh, I'm sorry. I would also
I
say
would-
that if Lychee does whiff that crush trigger, or like whiffing is just bad. So
Well, I can't imagine her whiffing it. That thing is gigantic.
Yeah, it's like a dragon falling
You would
down.
have to try really hard to whiff that move.
yeah, the bigger complaint I hear from people is that her hitbox moves very far back.
Yes,
Right, it's
that,
a DP bait and a plus on block pressure tool. It's so cool. Like, that's exactly what she wanted her entire life until now, to make her more of the character she wanted to be, where you can safely apply pressure while still being plus on block. But you have to spend meter for it. Like, that makes sense. That's the perfect EX for that character.
That's
It,
fair.
like, fleshes her out exactly the way she wants to be.
Draco?
I think I'm done with this one. I said everything.
Oh, my comment's pretty short too. Anytime you give me more options at reasonable cost that are legit, I'm happy. Give me more. I love them. So I think it, the changes it makes to the game and what you have to look at, what you have to watch for. It also makes you have to understand the other players' behaviors, their wants and needs, especially their wants, and you have to understand your own responses to those things. So more options, great, love it.
Okay, and the last one that I was looking at is about picking the characters you like. What do you do if you like more than one? He had 6 in mind, apparently.
Oh my.
That is quite a list to whittle down. I would strongly encourage you to go into a fighting game with the desire to play one character at a serious competitive level. If you're trying to win, it's not really realistic to go into more than that unless your character has bad matchups that need to be patched. Now, maybe you could do something like picking 2 characters that are good at each other's matchups. So you have that kind of multifaceted character selection. I think it's hard, though, because you will not perfect either of those characters at nearly the same rate. And if you are working at a sub-mastery level of characters in a tournament setting, you might come up against someone you don't have an answer to. If you're just not that proficient with the character, you might hit a dead brick wall in tournament, and there's just nothing you could do about that. You'll just have to go home and prepare better next time. And that
Yeah.
the difference of time there is really critical when you're spending the same time, maybe less, or maybe just a little bit more than your opponents, but then dividing it in 2.
Yeah,
It's pretty serious.
I think you should just pick the one that you like the best and stick with them. Even if you like many, find the one that you like a little bit more. Because in the end, what you will become is a jack of all trades, master of none, and the masters will defeat you.
Right.
I agree completely. You want to get to one character as decidedly as you can, and if you can't do that, what I think you should probably start with is try to take a look at the character at different levels of play. Try playing them yourself, and basically what you want to start off as is have a main and a sub, and you may end up changing them, and that's okay, but that's the road that you have to take in order to whittle that down. I remember when I wanted to have Taukaka as a sub, and it ended up being Bang. And the reason I think you should have a main and a sub, as opposed to say just get to the main as fast as you can, is I would worry about not being able to get a fresh perspective when you need to deal with something else. And when that happens and you feel kind of stuck with your character, you play the sub for a little bit, you learn a few new things, go back, play your main, and you'll find you'll have a little bit wider view of things. Your world gets a little bigger, and then you'll like your main even more. But if you're starting from 6, definitely try to get to at least 2, and that is going to take some homework, and it's going to take some time, but I think you can do it probably within 3 hours of work on your end.
I want to say something about what you just touched upon. You may not want to master or use as a main 6 different characters, but having a basic understanding of what each character is capable of doing is very important. So just messing around with them a little bit, understanding how their pressure works, how their combos work, what they can do well, what they have trouble dealing with, that's extremely important in understanding matchup experience. And matchup experience is what you need to win in higher level play.
Yeah, I would even go so far as to say if you don't understand at a basic level every character in the game, you're going to hit an opponent in the tournament sometime that is going to catch you completely off guard. You won't have the answers. You won't have a basis for what you need to do in the match.
Not simply every character, every move of every character.
Right, right. Every character at a relatively deep level. Like, you need to know what their tools are.
Yes, you need to know what the weakness is so you can exploit it.
Yeah.
You need to know where the combo will drop. If you see the other guy make a mistake in his combo, you need to know, okay, this is going to drop here, I'm going to take to the right, and I'm going to do jumping C. You need to know all those things.
And sometimes you have to just be able to have a lot in your head, and sometimes you have to just kind of Naruto it and just kind of experience that over and over and kind of drill that and drill and kind of eliminate all the things that are wrong. Like, until you get to that right thing. But it takes a little homework and a lot of time to get to that. But whittling it down, again, take 3 hours over a week and just kind of take time to look at your character at different levels of play. That's what I think. Okay, I think that's
exactly 15 past 10 right now.
Yeah, so I think that was very productive, and it definitely gives me more ideas for the next few episodes that I might want to tweak and change. I'd like to thank both you guys for coming. I think I think this is pretty awesome, and I think this will, if I can develop this a little stronger, we can have something really good for all sorts of players in our community. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Also, thank you all 24 of you on my stream, and however many are watching on Dacid's.
Got 70 over here.
If you guys,
let me take this extra little moment. If you guys are watching on my stream and you enjoyed this and you want to see more of it, make sure to follow Star at twitch.tv/StarSickle. He's going to be doing a lot more of these. I don't think I'll be a part of most of them, but this is a lot of good information. This is a lot of really useful advice and things to work with. So if you like BlazBlue, or if you're just interested in trying to learn about it, that'll be a really great channel to have on your follow list.
And if you guys have any suggestions at all, or concerns, or things that you want to see put into the series, just post on the Dustloop thread. Check out my Twitter. It's right there on the stream. Or find someone to talk to me about it, or just blow me up on Twitter, whatever. But I think that's pretty much all tonight. Thank you once again, and I will see you hopefully every 2 weeks for more information and more discussion about this game that we really like. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thanks a lot.
Good night, everyone.